All right. Would you please introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Debbie Lively. I'm a professor at Saginaw Valley State University in the early childhood program. And I'm also a retired educator from Saginaw Public Schools. So I have lots of experience in education and working with young children and families.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we'll get started with our questions. So within your program, who would you identify as a resource? Who's the best person to contact?
Okay. Well, if you're a graduate in our program, you would want to contact me if your last name begins with an A through M. You'd want to contact me because I advise all students A through M, and then Dr. Ann Tapp advises students for the remainder of the alphabet. I was trying to think LMNO to
Right.
the end. And so she would be the person that you contact. But I would really encourage everyone to contact their advisor right when they get accepted in the program, because it's really a good time to outline your program and to know what courses you need to take. So me, A through M, and then Ann Tapp, the rest of the alphabet.
Awesome. Thank you. What strengths do you and other faculty within the program possess to help students kind of reach their full potential?
Okay. Well, I think at Saginaw Valley, we're really blessed in our early childhood program in that we have three faculty, me, Dr. Ann Tapp, and Dr. Colleen DRC. All three of us have experience in the real world, in real teaching, and we're all special ed certified. And so in the early childhood program, you do get certified to teach young children with special needs. And the fact that all three of us have that endorsement or credential, I think is really critical. I don't know of any other university in the state that all their faculty have the certification necessary for teaching young children with special needs. And I think we do a lot that's in an online or hybrid format. This year we're going all to an online format because we can, and we have before. We've been, like I say, hybrid and or online anyway, so it was an easier switch for us. So all of our coursework will be done in an online format, and we'll be using Zoom as a way to connect with students. So if you're in our program, you're going to need to make sure that you have access to internet. And anyway, so that's what I think makes us special. And plus, our students do very, very well on the MTTC assessment for early childhood. So we're really proud of that. And all of our teachers are employed. So that's another 100% employment. So those are some things I think that make our program unique. And I also think the idea that it's the early childhood special ed, the home visiting piece, is important. And I spent 27 years as a home visitor working directly with children and families. So I think we have the credentials. We all have doctorates. We also have the experience. And I think that makes our program stand out in the state. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, lots of real world experience. That's awesome. So yeah, you said, how are these classes going to be taught? That's a big thing that students wanted to know. Fully online, won't miss a beat this semester.
Right.
How many credits is a typical course for students?
Okay. The courses for students are like, they're 3 graduate credits. That's each course is 3 credits, a total of 36 credits to graduate in our early childhood program. And the idea, most of the students, when a student gets a hold of me and wants to have their plan, I look at if they're receiving financial aid or not. And if they're receiving financial aid, then they would want to take 2 classes per semester. And by taking 2 classes per semester, you can finish the program within 2 years. So I think that's important to know that. But it's 36 credits and 3 credits per class. And we recommend, if you're in financial aid, to take 2 classes per semester. And we worked out our program, and we do have a guide and an outline for that to give you the recommended courses to take which semester and when they're offered. So that should be helpful.
Awesome, thank you. And then, so employment opportunities after graduation.
Our students have a really good rate of employment after graduation. I know that our undergrad students have all received, they've gotten 100% employment. We get calls all the time for someone needing an early childhood credentialed individual. You can, with a master's degree in early childhood, you can if you have a teaching certificate, and there are two kind of tracks. One track would be with a teaching certificate, and one track would be if you have a bachelor's degree as an undergraduate and you're getting a master's degree, because we do take students that don't have a teaching certificate. Now, our master's program does not provide a teaching certificate, but it does provide a master's degree in early childhood. So with a master's degree in early childhood and a teaching certificate, you can teach in a gen ed program in a public school system, in a charter school system, wherever you want to teach, because you have that teacher credential, and you would be specialized to teach early childhood, particularly pre-K, K1. Well, we nationally, early childhood is birth through third grade. You could be an early childhood special education teacher. You could be a home visitor for birth to 3 population in the state of Michigan. You need to be a certified person to do that, so you could do that. Now, if you had your BA and getting your master's degree, then you're a little more limited as far as in teaching in a public system, because you don't have that teaching certificate. But you could still teach in a GSRP, a Great Start Readiness preschool program. You'd be certified to do that. You could work in the early on system with early intervention, kids that are suspected of risk but not necessarily at risk at the time. You can also, with a master's degree, you can become a state consultant. You also could become a director of an early childhood program. We have several students that have graduated and they have become directors of early intervention programs, childcare programs, GSRP programs. So there are lots of opportunities, I think, for people with early childhood certification. There are more opportunities if you do have a teaching certificate, but there's still a lot of opportunities if you do not.
Right. Awesome. Do you recommend continuing to get a PhD for this?
Well, I think it's important and we have had some students that really have indicated a desire to get a PhD, and I really would encourage anyone to get a PhD in early childhood. There's so much we know about that early brain development that's so essential, that the more education that we can get and the more education that we can advocate for that early intervention piece, because for so long it's, well, oh, they're just doing daycare or childcare or whatever, and it's not. It's the time that is most critical for children in learning. That birth to 3-year-old level is so essential. So the more that we can go on and gain more knowledge as individuals, and the more that we can share that knowledge and we can advocate for positive changes in early childhood, I think that then we're doing our due diligence, then we're doing our duty as early childhood educators. So I would encourage anybody, if you have an interest or a desire, hey, if I can get a PhD, I think anybody can get a PhD. You know, I think that you just have to have the passion, and you have to have the drive, and you have to be able to stick to it, because it is difficult. But I have seen several of our students go on and get a PhD, and which is really exciting for me, because then I know we're getting more out there and we're advocating for what we know is important to families, children, and families. So yes, so get a PhD. That would be a good thing.
What would you say, overall in this program, what is the most difficult aspect?
Oh, the most difficult aspect sometimes is trying to educate others to see the importance of early intervention. You know, people get so stuck in their area of expertise that they sometimes forget the importance of that nurturing, that family connection. It somehow gets lost. And in education, I see it when we go to elementary and then secondary and high school. Somehow the connection with families sort of dwindles. And I really believe that we need to stay connected. We can't do it as educators by ourselves. We need the support and the encouragement from families. We need to work together collaboratively. And I think early childhood does a really good job at that. And I think that kind of goes off when kids get into higher grades. But yeah, I think that that it's so essential. Those first few years of our life are essential. And I think that we just need to let everybody know how important that is. What you do today will make a difference tomorrow. And I read in a book one time, it says, where do you want to start, in the high chair or the electric chair? And so I think to myself, that one statement was really powerful to me, and it was from the book Ghosts in a Nursery. And it's about people that have been incarcerated and stuff like that. And their earliest interactions were so important to their development. The trauma that they had when they were younger really made a difference. So if we can get in early and can support families to be the best that they can be, because I believe every family wants better for their children. So, and that's something I hope that in our early childhood program that we share with others, that every parent wants to be a good parent. We just have to support them in the process. And early education is where we can do it. And so anyway, I think early childhood rocks. It starts there.
Right. That's awesome. And then finally, what's the best way to contact you if a student wants to get in touch with you?
Okay. The best way to contact me would be to email me at dlively, Lively, at svsu.edu, or you can call my cell. But if you call my cell and I don't answer, leave me a message, because I might think you're calling about a warranty or something like that. So my cell number is 989-860-7456. Because oftentimes it's just much easier to talk to a student than it is to do all this emailing back and forth. But anyway, leave me a message, because like I say, I may not answer it the first time because I might not know who's calling. But that's probably the best way to reach me. And when we can get through everything that we're experiencing now, I'd like to meet up with you, have a coffee or whatever, and we can have a conversation. What I forgot to say, and I probably should have said too, is that one thing about our early childhood program and all the faculty, we also have state and national representation. For example, I'm on it's called the Interdivisional Caucus. I am the vice chair and will be the chair next year for 2 years, and that's part of the Council for Exceptional Children. My real love is, my background is deaf and hard of hearing and working with young children with special needs. So I have been very actively involved since the 90s, very active with Council for Exceptional Children, and that's our national organization. The other organization that we have is the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and we, ANTAP and Colleen DRC and I have been actively involved with that at a national level. I was also the president of the Michigan Division of Early Childhood, and started the chapter back up there. So and I know that Ann's involved with the Michigan Association of Teacher Educators, MACT, and Colleen has been involved. We have really, I think, represented Saginaw Valley well on some state and national organizations. And again, that's advocating for the rights of children and families, particularly for me, children and families who have young children with special needs. And so I think that says a lot about our group too, that we really feel the importance of that advocacy piece, because if we don't advocate, we're going to lose ground. Right now, this is another really interesting statistic, that in special education, I just spoke with Representative Moulinar's legislative aide regarding the teacher shortage. There is a critical shortage of teachers in early intervention and special education. 48 states have identified this critical need. And of those 48, 42 have identified critical need in early intervention. And so it's really important that we maintain a presence on state and national organizations so that we can continue to advocate for these needs, because otherwise they're not going to be met. Because a lot of people just say early childhood, oh, well,
Right.
And we just need to tell them, no, it isn't right. We have to really support families and children, and we have to advocate, particularly the teacher shortage. I mean, there is a teacher shortage in some particular content areas, but there is a severe shortage in special education and early childhood. And they're just hiring anybody that they can be a long-term substitute for these positions because they don't have qualified people. Well, people say, oh, we can get by. Yeah, you can get by for a little while, but after a while, it's going to have a long-term impact.
Right.
And so that's very concerning to me as an educator. So we have lots of experience, and we have a lot of professional development too. I mean, a lot of us are trainers for this, that, and the other. I didn't say that either, but that's another thing that we have a lot of experience. Like I'm a national trainer for Sky High, which is a parent-infant program for children with sensory impairments.
Okay.
Yeah, so we aren't just secluded or sequestered to Saginaw Valley. We do try to represent Saginaw Valley in a positive way, which I think we do. So anyway, I guess that's it, Miss Hannah. I don't have anything else to say except SVSU Early Childhood Program is the best program in the state. Now, I know I'm biased, but it really is.